Hello everybody, this is Bilal with Hiba Learning and welcome to Programming with C. If you haven't watched the previous video, there is a link in the description. You will need to install Cygwin with GCC. You will need GCC to compile C code. So there is a link in the description and please go ahead and watch that video and install Cygwin. If you already done that, then we can continue with this lesson. So C programming language is the most popular language, and this is a language that usually will be the first language you will learn if you go to college to learn software engineering, computer science, or any IT related that involves programming. I have a slide that has some more information about C. I will put that link in the description so you can download it. So basically I gathered some information about C. So like I said, this is a very important programming language for anybody who wants to become a software engineer. This will be the first program you will be learning. And there are some advantages of C. There are more than this, but these are the ones that I picked. First of all, it's easy to learn. It's a structured language, meaning that it's easy to follow the logic in the language. And it's very efficient and fast because it's close to hardware and there's not a lot of other things involved between the program and hardware. And it can be compiled in a variety of different computer programs. You just need a compiler and it will run in any most of these operating systems. Sorry. And I put some facts about C. C is successor of B language, and if you know anything about B language, this was the very first modern language that was invented back in the 60s and 70s. And it came from B Labs. That's where it came from, B Lab, and then they called this one C because it came after B. And this was formalized in 1998 with the American National Standard Institute. Anyway, so there's some more information. This was initially invented to create operating systems such as Unix, and some of the not only operating systems, some of the RDBMs, the relational database machines, for example, MySQL, they're all written in C. So if you're familiar with SQL, sequential query language, that is a language that communicates with databases. It's a different format, but in the behind the scenes, it is using C to communicate with the database. So a standard C language will have a couple of things in common. You have a preprocessor command, you have some functions, you need variables, and then there's statements, and also there is a way to comment your information. This is an example here. This is the very first language, which is very simple. All it does is it displays this text in the screen, and you'll see that it starts with this. Any C language, you will have to have this line of code at the beginning, and if you start to use more packages, then you can add more packages. But this is basically the very core, the basic of C. You have to include that in your language. Then you would also need a main entry point. Usually it would be like that, and you have to have this in order for your language to learn to run. You can write code without this main, and that would be like packages, not the actual main your main entry point to the code. There is some more information here. Like I said, I'll put this in the description. If you need to comment something, you put it between this type of structure. and to compile it, there is some more information. We will look at an example. So like I mentioned, if you haven't installed Cygwin, go ahead and install it. There's a link in the description for previous language, previous lesson. Now, if you launch Cygwin, it will go to point to the directory of the current user. If you haven't watched my previous video, if you look at the directory where Cygwin is installed, it's installed under C Cygwin. You see this kind of structure where this is similar to a Unix machine. And you will have a home. And the home you have, for all the users, there will be a folder. So this is my user here. It has some information about that user. Okay. Now what I will do is I'll get out of that and go back in home. And inside here, actually in home, what I will do is I will create another folder, and this folder we will call it lesson 01. Yeah, let's call it lesson 01, and we will put all of our code in that folder. So it'll be under your C Cygwin home lesson 01. So that is the folder where we'll be working. And in order to write any code in C, you will need, let me move this out of the way. You will need a text editor. There are built-in text editors in Unix, but it's a little difficult to use. So I would rather use something like a Notepad++. Notepad++ is very popular amongst the programmers. Any programmer who do any kind of programming, they use Notepad++. And it has, formatting and color coding for all different languages. And it also has an option where you can change the color behind the background. Usually, if you go to setting, go to style configurator from the drop down. Well, this one is an older version. It doesn't have the different styles. So usually in the drop down there will be black and blue and gray and different ones. So you choose one and it will change to a different color. But once I'll update that, I'll show you guys that. But here, let's just use this to write that simple code that we have in the notes. So if you look here, I put a small snippet of code, and we'll go there and paste all of that. And usually I always dual comment your codes, and also you want to indent it whenever you start a new function like this. You want to indent it anyway. So this code, it doesn't do much. It just has this one function, and it just displays this text on the screen. Okay. This is a beginner class for C language, so we're just showing you guys how to get started with C. I'm going to explain functions and variables and all these things in details in the next coming classes, but I just wanted to show you guys how to get started. So this is that very first language. So here, just bear with me and just take it as it is. Basically, what we do is we enter the program into main. We just do a print, and then this tells the program to exit and finish. Okay, and here this function just prints this text in the screen. That's all it does. So what you do is here, go to language, go to C and select C. And you can see it properly formats it. And then if you save it, go to save or Control S, will do the same thing. And we want to save it to that same folder that we saw earlier. So if you go to Cygwin, Home, here, and then I'm going to save it to listen 01. Or yeah, I'll call it hello world. Okay, let's call it hello world. I put .c, and sometimes this will automatically select the language, but this is an older version, it didn't do it. So I'm going to go choose C from here, like that, and then save it. Okay, now it's saved. So if I go back here, there is that file that we just saved. Going back to my Sigwin, if I go back out of this folder, inside home, you can see there is those three directories. That's my user directory, this is another user, and then that's the listen. So if I go back to that, you use cd, means change directory, and type the name of that directory. Just type the first few letters and hit the tab on your keyboard, and it will complete the rest of it. Push enter, and now we are there. And if I do ls, you see there is that hello world program we just wrote. Okay, so to compile that, there is a note here how to compile it. So basically you type gcc and the name of the file. Okay, so let's do that. Say gcc. If you if you press tab, it will automatically bring it, and do enter. Okay, seems like there is no extension on that file. Let me go check that real quick. I thought I saved it like that, but let me see. If I go back here, yeah, it seems like there's no extension. Put the extension real quick. It has to have the .c extension. Let's go back, try that command again. The good thing about this is if you go press up and down key, it will bring the previous commands that you put. So okay, so there we go. Now we have that file, and it will compile it for us. Usually it's very fast, but very first time it will be slower. So once it compiles, it creates this other file, and it will be called a.exe. If I list here, say that a.exe is there. So to run it, you just type it. This is Unix, so in Unix, when you want to run any file that's in the same folder, you have to do this /a.exe. Enter, and there we go. So it displays that text for us. Okay, so that means our code was compiled and we were able to execute it. So that's it. That's all I have for the very first lesson. Like I said, I will put this file in the description. You guys can go through it, and there are more videos coming soon. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Please give it a thumbs up if you like this video, and subscribe to our channel.